All right, we are live.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're joining us from. I would like to welcome us to our Azure AI Virtual Study Series, which is actually in preparation for our Global Azure AI Bootcamp. Right. So today, just like we had yesterday, we are having two sessions today by two wonderful speakers. So our first session today is about automating document processing with Azure AI Document Intelligence. And our speaker for that session is Precious Ajuru. So thank you so much for everyone for joining us today. So if you're joining us just in the chat window, kindly drop where you're joining us from so that we can know you, we can welcome you to this series. Thank you so much. Hi, Precious. Can you join? All right. Thank you. Can you
Hi,
introduce yourself and just take the floor?
Hi, everyone. I'm Precious Ajuru. I'm an Azure Cloud Engineer. Um, been an Azure Cloud Engineer for quite some years now. And today I'm privileged to be our speaker, and I'll be talking us through Azure AI Document Intelligence, right? And I'm hoping it to be a refreshing session for every one of us. So I'll just get right into it. I'll share my screen in a moment. Just a moment. Let me pull up. I need to share first. Can you see my screen? Emmanuel, can you confirm you can see my screen? Yeah. Okay. All right. Automating document processing with Azure AI Document Intelligence. Why are we talking about this? Why do we need Why do we need to automate document processing with Azure AI Document Intelligence? What's wrong with our current processes? Um, in every business, one thing is common regardless of the industry, right? Forms, whether it's a law firm, whether it's an IT company, regardless, every business has to do with invoices, receipts, expense, all of that, right? There, one way or the other, contracts, service level agreements, there is nobody that can do without forms, right? So forms are used to communicate information in every industry, every day. Many people still manually extract data from forms to exchange information. Um, I believe this is we're all Nigerians here. Let's take our reality in Nigeria, for example, where we have INEC, right? And after every election, you have to snap every ballot paper, and then you still have to manually enter the records. It's not just about the ballot paper, so that's just for evidence, right? But it doesn't automatically pick the numbers. So you still have days, 3 days, 4 days, and they're still manually entering the records. That's not what we should be doing in 21st century. So unfortunately, without AI, right, we just have to be doing it manually. And that's where the Azure AI document intelligence comes in. We don't need to go through all the manual process of entering data in forms manually. For example, you need to enter your passport details. Imagine you have to type that out and then you have to structure it, put it on the table. That's tedious, right? Okay. What is Azure AI Document Intelligence? Azure AI Document Intelligence is an AI-powered service that reads our forms, it understands it based on context, and extracts data from documents from common forms like invoices, receipts, and business cards, automating what was once a manual process. And we have different categories and different components, and each of these capabilities, right? The reading, the understanding, the extracting data, they all speak to a function in Azure AI Document Intelligence. All right, I will get into that in a moment. Why is this even important, right? obviously manual data entry is painful. I recall one time with my previous employer where every expense you make, every trip you make, even if you're visiting client site, you have to enter, say, your Uber receipt and everything, and you don't just have to snap it. You have to enter the amount, where you left, where they dropped you off, and all of that. And imagine you're going to client site 5 times a week, all the days of the working week, right? That means you have to do that. That's more like a full-time job, right? And imagine you now have to your puts you're to take care of entering the forms for all of your colleagues, and you have 100 of those receipts and invoices to enter, for example, right? That can be very tedious. Sorry, a moment. Can I just give me a moment, please? Let me quickly grab something. I'll be back in a moment. Yeah, sorry about that. I just realized I locked out my people. Sorry, I'll go back to the presentation. Okay. Um, your manual data entry is still painful. It's painful. We don't want to be going through that process, right? So it's slow, it's prone to human errors, it costs businesses time and money. A simple task like entering invoicing details into a system can take minutes. And imagine you're processing hundreds of data daily, like the expense receipts for your Uber and all that. You're having to do that for all your colleagues. That's going to take a whole day. Here comes Azure AI Document Intelligence. Well, you don't need to do all of that. All you just need to do is scan the form, scan your document, scan your receipt, and it just picks out the essential data. And each of the models are trained. The one for receipt is trained specially with thousands of receipts. So it recognizes the fields inside the receipt. It organizes the data. It sends the data to a data store. It organizes it structurally and sends it to a data store. It could be Excel, it could be your database. Okay. And instead of humans entering data, AI does everything for us with high accuracy and at scale. How does Azure AI Document Intelligence work? Three simple steps. It analyzes the documents, AI reads and understands the text, both in context, right, and structure, right? So we have special forms, right, the special models that not only reads the data, not only extracts the data, like OCR, but also understands when there is a table in the data and when you have check marks, right, like ticks, say male or female and all that. So he analyzes the documents, understands the text in terms of context, understands table, and understands the structure. And then extracts key information, finds names, entities, invoice numbers, and custom data points. And this is the big part. After all of it, it's not just bringing all of this data, it's not just translating the data in the document for us to see and edit, right? It's going to help us store this data in a data store. It could be a database, it could be your CRM, it could even be application, right? Okay, here is the big one. So we have with Azure AI Document Intelligence, we have it has different components, right? We have the general documents, right? We have the pre-built models, the custom models, and the composed models, right? But majorly we have the pre-built models and the custom models because even the general document still falls under the pre-built models, right? And we're going to talk about them in a bit. I'll be showing us visuals from either, I think we can use Document Studio today, from either Document Studio or Azure AI Foundry. So basically, there are two ways to process your documents, right? You could either use the previous model, ready to use AI models for invoices, common forms. And why should you use these ones? Because Microsoft has trained these ones with thousands of data, right? Thousands of forms. So imagine you have to train your own, right? And because of the thousands of forms that are being used to train this model, it has high accuracy, over 90%, right? Now, if you're having to do your own, will you have the forms? Will you have the data to train your model to be reliable? Right now, there are some use cases where you can't just use the previous model, and we'll talk about those in a moment. Right, but you have the previous model ready for you, and it covers basically everything any business will need, because forms are common in every business regardless of the industry, and we have common forms. Every business does with receipts, every business does with invoice, every business does with what have you, every business does with ID documents, your driving license and all that, your passport and all that. So the pre-built model for the most part can help us handle most of the issues with document processing. Sorry, I think I need to go back. Yeah, and then we have the custom models. If your forms are unique, let's say, for example, like in Nigeria, we have some peculiarity around. We have something we call, is it statutory declaration of age, for example. I'm not certain, I'm not sure Microsoft has built that into, has considered that, right? So it might not be in a pre-built models. You could also have documents that don't follow the schema and the structure of the pre-built models. That's where you have to consider the custom models. I think a use case would be in law firms, for example, because they deal with lots of forms, right? And it's not definite the kind of forms they'll be dealing with per day. So that might be a use case for making custom models, right? But it involves training your own model with your own forms, right? Giving it the label, right? Telling it what the feature is, what the fields are, and what the label should be, right? Just like machine learning, right? That is okay. This is the receipt number. I need it to be captured. This is the complainant, for example. I need it to be captured. These are the common fields and all that. But you have to train it and give it the label, right? That's for custom models. And then we have what we call composed models. If you're ever going to go for the custom models, right? It's usually advisable. I didn't capture it here, but it's usually advisable you go for the composed models. And what's the composed models? It's like when you have multiple custom models, right? Yeah, when you have,
Hi, Precious. Your screen is not
it's not
moving.
moving.
So, yes.
What can you see?
Why is this important? The fourth slide.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing and reshare if that helps. Is that the same for everybody? I don't know. Can someone confirm?
Facing
Share.
that too.
Say that again.
I'm facing that same issue. I can't see the screen is not moving. Oh my God.
What do you see now?
You have not shared your screen yet.
I have. I'm sharing now.
Well, you need to
Okay, let
bring
me
it
bring it
live.
live. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's live now. So we can see pre-built models.
Great.
Slide six.
Okay. Do I need to take this again? So I was explaining pre-built models and custom models and the use cases for each of them. For the majority of cases, for the majority of forms, the pre-built models we do, right? But for certain peculiarities, let's say in a law firm, right, and they deal with special forms that Microsoft did not capture in their training data, right, then a custom model will do. And then I was saying that if you're ever going to consider the custom model, it's usually advisable to consider what they call a composed model. Composed model is more like a multiple of custom models, right? So instead of, for example, training a model for just capturing statutory declaration of age, you could also train a model to capture marriage certificates, for example, to capture wills and to capture other special documents, right? That are in the legal sector, for example. I'm just using the legal sector for as an example, as a use case. Now, if you do that, you bring all your models together so that when your users, by the time you integrate it to your app, when your users are uploading forms, they don't need to care what kind of form it is. They're just starting it to go through, right? And you eventually get the data, maybe sent to your database or any data store you prefer. So usually, if you're going for the custom model, it's usually advisable to go for the composed model. So you have multiple custom models. But for the majority of cases, the pre-built models we do. Which model should you use? Like I was explaining, common document types, pre-built model we do. Um, Invoices, receipts, business cards, your identity documents, international passport, all of that. And Microsoft has trained with thousands of forms. So whatever use case it is, right, regardless of the industry, some things are certain, some things are common. Total, for example, in a receipt, item number, all of those things, right? And the custom model when you have unique forms with structured data, medical records, and all that. Multiple document types in one system, like I was explaining initially. Okay, I think it's time to get a bit of hands-on so it doesn't look all theoretical and all that. There are two ways to deploy and use the Azure AI documents, Azure AI Document Intelligence. It's either through the AI Document Intelligence Studio or through Azure AI Foundry, right? For this case, we might have to use Azure AI Document Intelligence Studio. So if you're using regardless of the method you want to use to do it, to deploy it, right? You have to create a resource, and it can either be a multi-resource, a multi-service resource, where you sorry, let me open Azure Portal to show us what that looks like. I'm trying to open this so I have lots of tabs open. Can you see this? Can you see my tab?
I shared
Yeah,
the
what can you see, please?
it's still a
Okay.
presentation, so you might need to stop sharing and share
Yeah, okay.
again.
I think I need to reshare so that it can share the entire screen. So that might be helpful. Yeah, you can see the entire screen, yeah? Great.
Yes,
So
yes.
if you're deploying and you want to use Azure AI Document Intelligence, so you have two options. One, you can use either the Azure AI services or you can use the Document Intelligence resource, right? Either the Azure AI services, which bundles all of the other AI services, Azure Open AI, the Vision, the speech language, and all that. But for this demo, I'm just going to use the document intelligence resource instead. Um, I'm quickly going to rush through this. Of course, you have to choose a region. I'm going to choose West Europe for this. Document intelligence demo. I believe this has been taken. I'm sure this will be taking one. Sorry, let me just be safe. Pricing tier, I think I've exhausted my free tier, but you have the option of a free tier or a standard tier. So I'll just go for a standard tier because I know I've exhausted my free tier. Next, I just go straight to create because I'm sure the networking is fine. I don't have a problem with the identity. So I just go straight to create. It's going to take about a minute or less. I already have a resource deployed for it, but I think it's better we start from beginning and get a grasp of it better. Right. Yeah, please bear with me. I will wait for it to finish deploying. I reckon it should take about a minute. Yeah, great. Okay. Um, Before I get into launching the document intelligence studio, because you're not just doing this for analysis sake. You're not just doing this because you want to deploy resources and see how it works. um, I don't know if we have time to do all of that experimentation, like integrating with applications or maybe Power Automate. But this is most important, right? You need your keys and you need your endpoint. The endpoint is where the resource resides, right? Where your application can call to and have access to resource, and you need your keys as an as an authentication to give you access. I will probably, if time permits, I'll probably rush through maybe a Power Automate system to see if we can achieve that. I'm just going to launch Documents Studio. Okay, and at this point, we can already see the features here for Document Studio, but you still have to connect the resource. I'm sure I'm not signed in. Yeah, so I'm signed. I should be signed in now. So you have to connect the resource. Come to settings. Come to resource. This is it. I had the previous one connected, so I'm going to switch to this one now. I think that's sorted. So I can now use the features of the document intelligence. Um, okay. And like I was explaining earlier, there are pre-built models and then there are custom models, right? These are the custom models. You have to create it yourself. And these are the pre-built models. Every other thing here is a pre-built model. But before, when I started, I said there are different components to Azure AI Document Intelligence. We have the general documents, right? And then we have the pre-built models, custom models. Don't mix it up. Generally, there are pre-built models and custom models. But in terms of types of documents, you have the general documents, which extracts data from any kind of document, like your PDF files, like you can convert your CV from Word to PDF and you can extract it, right? But these ones are designed and trained for specific forms, receipts, invoices, and identity documents. So that's just the difference, right? And let's take now, what's the difference between these three general documents? This one only extracts data. It's just like OCR. This one only extracts data. It's just like OCR in our vision, in our Azure AI vision, right? It only extracts data. It doesn't give it context, right? Let me show you some example. I think we can do that in 3 minutes. So let me extract the data now. I had an agreement with Mr. Rafi. I don't know if he's on the call. I had if everything here is fake, by the way, it's fictional. I had an agreement with him, a service level agreement with him. If I run this analysis to see the document, it's just going to extract the text. It's not going to give it any context at all. Do you see this? It's just, if you just looking at the tabs, you can only see it's only text that is extracted. It just shows everything that's here. And because I'm using the standard version, I can go as far as possible. But if you're using the free version, it's just two pages, right? That's just the difference between them. So this OCR and read, it just performs the same function as OCR. OCR just extracts text, no context, right? It just brings text from images and shows you so that it's editable. You can copy it to anywhere and all that. Let me go back to this one. Now, what does layout do? Initially, when I was explaining, I talked about if you have tables in your form, your PDF form or your image, right? Or your documents. Okay, for now, if you have tables in your documents, layout extracts even the tables, unlike the other ones, like right, the OCR and the read and the other one, like we'll later see. Give it doesn't give consideration to tables or check marks and all that, right? Let us see an example. First of all, let's try to okay. Yeah, I think I have something that has table. Oh yeah, this, and you see the difference now. Yeah, I'm sure this has tables. Okay, if I run this analysis, it's just that's in addition to the test. It will still extract the test that OCR extracts, right? But in addition to the test, it will still extract the tables. All of the tables will be complete, exactly the way it is, right? So imagine you scan this with your organization's app. You just scan this document, right? And remember, this is going to be sent to a database or any data store. So you don't need to manually enter all of these details. This can take a while. It can take maybe an hour or two to enter all of these details, to type it out and all that, right? But it automatically to be sent to a data store. So the layouts extracts both the tables, the check marks, and all that. Now the general document, it does the OCR function, which is extracting text. But in addition to that, it also extracts entities like locations, names, key value pairs, right? Let me show you with the agreements I had with Raphael, a funny agreement. Yeah, service agreements with Raphael. If I run this analysis, first let me start with the content. You see that in addition to this is everything that OCR does for us, extracting the content, extracting the text, right? But in addition to that, it extracts fields, key value pairs, right? Entities, locations, dates, names. So my client was Raphael. He's on 2 Heaven Road. I have to be on 1 Heaven Road because I should be closer to heaven. And then he's on number 2 Heaven Road. The date of the agreement, signed, everything, right? Um, Let me quickly. That's for the documents. Hopefully, we understand the difference between this just extras test. If you put anything that has a table here, OCR will not see it. It's only extract only the test. Now for layout, if your document has tables, it's going to extract the table for you. For the general documents, now these two now, if you have names and locations, they don't care about those. They don't look at those things. For general documents, it extracts entities, location, address, names, right, and you put them like that. Mr. Raphael list also place address and all that. I just have about 3 minutes. Now let's look at receipts, invoices and receipts. Hopefully I can answer.
Precious,
Yeah.
can you hear me? So you can take the remaining 30, the second session as well, so you can continue.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Um, now these are the general forms we talked about, and I explained. Just get the difference between these three. The OCR only extracts text. It doesn't do any other thing. It doesn't add context. This one, if your document has tables, has check marks, has ticks, it will draw those ones out, right? And give you all of those details. It just gives you the structure. That's why it's called layout. It gives you the structure of your document. The general documents, just in addition to OCR, right? It gives you it brings out the entities involved, the locations, the phone numbers, and all that. Now let's go to the forms. These are general documents and these are forms, right? We have lots of them, though some of them are peculiar to US. But these first three, it's common to everybody, regardless of industry. So let's look at invoices, for example. And one thing I'll try with the previous documents I've used, maybe on one of these models, to see what we'll get and why we need to use the right model. So before you start anything, you should already know what you're looking for or the type of document, the type of form you have, because you're basically telling documents intelligence that this is the form I want you to work with, right? If you choose a model, you're telling you this is the form I want you to work with. So if there is any inaccuracy, it's on you for choosing the wrong model. So let's choose the invoice. There are lots of samples to run with, but I just prefer to use my own documents and forms just so I am sure of, because I know the contents of the forms already, just so I'm sure of what I'm getting. Um, this is invoice. I'm sure all of us get this every month. Microsoft invoice. All right, so I'm just going to use that as an example. And one other thing I will show us after now, if I run this analysis, it's going to bring out the key value pairs again, the entities, right? The location, in addition to that, the cost, right? So yes, this, my address and everything, and then it's going to put the amount. And one other thing I should show us, everything about AI, everything about pre-built models, right, is with trained data. And that's why you see all of these figures by the side, right? And that's what you cannot guarantee when you use your custom model. I was talking about using your custom model or how it might become inaccurate because you might not have the amount of data that Microsoft is using. If you see all of this, it's showing the level of confidence they have, right? That is attached based on the training data. I said 88% is sure that this is correct, that this is accurate. And that's some good level of confidence, right? You can also see them here using the JSON version of it. This is 99, almost 100%. Here you can also customize certain things. For this, it might not work. If I put language, it's not going to work because this is the wrong form. I'm going to show us how we can use language. If I put barcodes, it's not applicable because I'm sure I don't have a barcode. But I'm going to show us how we can customize, analyze all these options. So the most important thing is to know the form you're working with, right? And so you can tell the document intelligence how you want it to be customized. So that's for the invoice. I'm going to go back a bit. Um, Once I'm done with identity documents, I'll come back to show us something with OCR for the receipts. Um, Now let me try to upload a random document and see if it will make sense of it. For example, service agreement. Okay, right. Yeah, it tried as much as possible to get the entities. Remember, entities are dates, places, um, yeah, locations. So all he did was to get the entities, right? He didn't get what he was expecting, like prices and all that. But for this one, it's so we're not getting what we want, right? Even if we are using the receipt, what we want, what we expected of a receipt, we're not getting the fields that are common in receipt. That's why it's important to always use the right one. Let me use the right document for that. And you see how, yeah, and you see how, yeah, my agreement with Raphael, we had a receipt for it. If I run that now, you see everything sorted out for me. And again, let me emphasize the beauty of this thing is not just this analysis we are running, because anybody can run this analysis. I'm running this analysis because I want to know which one will be compatible with the application I'm building, right? So that's what this intelligence studio is doing, right? I'm just test running, I'm just seeing how it's going to work. But eventually, you have to integrate it to the application or your process in your organization. And that's the beauty of this, right? Okay, this for the receipt, we can see how organized it is. It puts the country, items as common in receipts and even invoices, trial subscription, the address of the the vendor, um, everything basically, and then the receipt type. Um, you see hotel here. The reason it's putting hotel is because for Microsoft, in their training data, they have different forms of receipts. And when, like a typical hotel, it's more detailed, like when you checked in, when you checked out. So it just has more details. So it automatically pick a receipt type based on the kind of document you're submitting. Now, for now, this case, now it wasn't actually a hotel, right? But it just picked it and added more details to it, right? So randomly, it just pick a type of receipt. It will always give it a label, right? And then just add the more, if it chooses hotel, for example, to add more details to it. Depending on what type it chooses, you get it determines the level of information you get. And back end is what happens back end. This is the confidence level for each of them. Okay. And identity documents. This is passport, driving licenses. They say that it's just for US driving licenses and then international passports. But I've had a test of it, and it works for every driving license, including my own, as I will show us here. First, let me do with international passports. Just going to type passports. Yeah, I'm just going to use my baby's passport. Okay. And then I think it's something we can relate with. Just most times we make applications, maybe for a job or something, and they tell you to submit your passport. Nobody has the time to be going through this PDF to look at them one like this and zoom through and all that, right? It's the same thing. Basically, it's the same thing. Just that Microsoft is kind of democratizing AI for everybody. So we now have access to what has been existing for some time now, right? When you go to embassies and you submit applications, or when you submit applications with big companies, they always tell you submit identity documents and all that. It's the same thing. Nobody has time to zoom in and check all these things. It's just going to structure all of your data, pull them out, structure them, and send them to their data store. That's what they need it for. Okay, I run this analysis, and you see that to extract everything that's inside this passport exactly as it is, date of birth, everything, right? And it gives you the confidence level, the country, the date of birth. You can see why I didn't use my own passport, just not to give us clue. Date of expiration, date of issue, document number, passport number, first name, where it was issued, everything, basically everything on your passport, right? Nationality, everything. right? And then, of course, you see the confidence levels for all of them as well. So this is what industries use. This is what companies use when they tell you, okay, submit your documents and all that, right? And this is also something that is useful for every organization, regardless of size, which is one good thing Microsoft is doing. So you don't the organization doesn't need to be a very big organization, right? All you need to do is if you can have access to this, and then you can integrate it to your application. You can build an app with Python or any programming tool and integrate it to your application. Your users can just have access to this and upload their documents, right? Um, I was going to try something again with the identity documents. Okay, let me try. I tried passport. Let me try driving license. I said it works for driving license, any driving license at all, even though they say it's for just US driving licenses. Okay. Yeah. If I run this analysis, yeah, you can see the same thing. So it works for every driving license, regardless of it doesn't have to be a US driving license. Okay. Yeah, that's it for the documents, the receipts. One thing I was going to point out um, was in was it OCR? I was going to point out yeah, I think it's OCR, yes. Um, I was going to point out the barcode function in OCR. Do I have something that has a barcode? Let me see if I have something that has a barcode. No, I don't. So I'm probably going to use their sample. Yeah. And in the analyze option, I want to include barcode, right? And I also want to include language. I think that's why I came back to the documents analysis section. The reason I'm including barcode is I want it to extract the barcode and show me the details behind the barcode. You know, behind every barcode, there are some information embedded for you to access maybe the URL and all that. So I want to see all of that. I also want to see the language that this document was written in, right? If it's written in German or any language, I want to see. So I'll do this. Okay, invoice. Yep, barcodes. Yep, see the barcode. So behind this barcode now, this is the information. If I use my phone to scan this barcode, I'll get to the same website that this URL will give me. So this URL, I think, is Microsoft normal URL. Yeah. Okay. So if you use your phone and scan that particular, hope I find that tab. Hope I find, yeah, that's it. So if you use your phone to scan this document, this particular barcode, you get to the same URL. So it makes the whole process really easy. So it doesn't matter if you're uploading a document that has barcodes, it doesn't matter. It's just going to decipher it and extract every information that is needed, right? And then I said language. To get the language, you have to go to the JSON file, scroll all the way down to see the language that the document was written in. For this one, it is written in English. Obviously, it's written in English. I'm just showing us. I'm going to do another language. EN means English. DE, for example, means German. So I'm going to try another one. Yeah, there is one for with German. So I'm going to run this one. Before then, okay, I have everything. But I don't need the barcode. So I'm just going to move the barcode. But even if I leave it, nothing's going to happen. That field is just going to be empty. Yep. I'm going to run that. Okay. If I run, I think I've run this already. Yeah. Okay. It extracts the text exactly as it is in German, right? It doesn't translate it. It doesn't have the translation ability. It just extracts it as exactly as it is in German. And if I go to the barcode, there is no barcode. But if I want to see the language it's written in, I'll come to the JSON file, scroll all the way down. Oh, I think it's España. I was thinking it's German. This should be Spanish, is it not? I think it's using for Spanish. So where I have this locale is supposed to be the language. But it did say German here. Sorry, I need to show. Okay. Yeah, it says German, but that looks like, yeah, probably picking the wrong language. But I'm sure it's German because it doesn't look like like it just doesn't look like Spanish. Okay, so yeah, this OCR, in addition to picking out the text, it also gives you the language, and it also picks out, for example, barcodes, right? Where you have barcodes in your forms, it picks it out. Um, that's it for these two. The custom models, right? I was explaining before, you if whatever you're looking for, if the forms you're looking for, it's not in the in the pre-built models, right? Even though Microsoft has trained them with thousands of data, it might just happen that what your organization does, the kind of forms your organization deals on or deals with, does not involve these common forms, right? It can now customize something to tailor your needs, to tailor the forms that your organization deals with, right? And that's where the custom model comes in, right? And then there are two types: the custom extraction model and the custom classification model. And remember, I said you can combine multiple custom models to give you a composed model. The reason is, anyway, you can't. It just doesn't make sense that you're training just one form, right? What if you have another use case where you have a different document that's not in the previous model? So it's just better to train multiple forms and you combine them so that when your users upload forms, they don't need to care what kind of form it is. They'll just get the result, or the result will just be processed to the right source, to the right destination. Okay, I'm not sure we'll be able to finish, but I would have loved to at least show us how to integrate um how to integrate the document solution to your application. In this case, it can just be Power Automate, can just use Power Automate to just integrate. I just wanted to show us how to use the keys and endpoints, right? So I'll try and open a Power Automate. I think I have one open, but no, I should have, yeah, okay. Okay, I was working with this already. Just go to home. Yeah, so I come to Power Automate, for example, and then I automate automated cloud flow. I just want to use, it can be any of them, it can be instant cloud flow, but automated cloud flow. Let's call it something, documents, documents intelligence demo, right? And then what should be your flow trigger? You can have a run through to see which one makes sense. When a new response is submitted, let me say when a new file is created in my OneDrive, for example. When a new file is it there? When a file is created, when a file is created, okay, that makes sense. When a file is created, OneDrive, okay. Um, Yeah, so I'm not an expert in Power Automate, but I just know a bit to get by. So I can come here, and I think here I need to link my OneDrive, and it can be your SharePoint, but this one will be my OneDrive. I already had it linked earlier, so this should be Azure Practice. Yep, just put it here, for example. Yeah, that works. Yeah, not sure that I need to touch anything there. This looks okay. Trigger conditions, that looks okay. Okay, good. When a file is created, um, analyze, create, analyze documents. Uh, okay. Try analyze documents. Previous model. Um, yeah, 2 seconds, please. Need to find the right documents and just show us the connection. Mm. I know. Hmm. I'm just typing to see attributes. Yeah. Okay. Analyze the content of the no. Analyze document. 2 seconds, please. Just bear with me. Not sure the right one. So I think let me just use my format. I think I had it open somewhere. Let me use my if I go to my close, to go. Yeah. Yep. 2 seconds. I'm gonna hide this. Summarize. Trying to see the flow. Goodness. Yeah, with me, not so. Okay, let me go back to that and see how I can do that. Okay, trying to find the right document, can't find it. The right trigger. Analyze tributes. Let me just connect it to anything that has to do with. Yeah, I think I saw that. Contents of anything that has to do with OneDrive. If I see anything that has to do with OneDrive, probably work with that. Actually, yeah, document intelligence from recognize and document. Okay, yeah, I think that's this can do. Okay, if I come here, because I want the file contents, yeah, file content, yeah, the file contents might do so. Sorry, I'm not a pro in Power Automate. You have to bear with me. I'm not sure if I need to do anything here. Okay. Settings. This is okay. Okay. Yeah. So this was what I was trying to show us. So if, for example, this is connected to a different resource. If I want to connect my document intelligence resource right now, I'll have to change connection. If there was no connection, I have to add a connection. So at this point is where I need, yeah, I've had a couple of connections. So I have to add a new connection. I can name the connection anything, documents intelligence demo, documents intelligence demo, quite a name today. And then I can go back to, yeah, that we created earlier. I take the endpoints. I think it's here, yeah. Come to the endpoint. Because that's where my resource is hosted. That's where your application needs to reach the resource. And then you need an access to reach the resource as a way of authentication. If I do that now, right, to be connected, is not connected to the resource, right? I can go on and save this and it will be fine, I believe, if my options are right. Yeah, can go on and save this and it will be fine. What this does is if I've set up this thing now, for example, and I upload a document to my OneDrive, if these settings are right, right? What I'm not sure of if my settings here are right, right? But in terms of the connection to to the studio and all that, that's all set up, right? I just wanted to show us how to use the keys and the endpoints URL. If the settings are right and I test this thing and I upload a document, right, to my OneDrive, right, it's going to create a file for me, extracting everything that's inside the form, right, and I'm going to see it, right. So that's basically how document intelligence works. This is a bit of a slow example. A more relatable example would be your application, maybe your company application, right? And you need to upload files, right? As you upload your expense or your receipt or whatever, right? It gets sent to maybe an Excel file, an Excel repository, right? It's structured first and then sent to maybe a data store, an Excel data store, or a database, structured like that, showing how much you spent, your name, location, and all that. I'm gonna go on and save this. Try to see. I'll be surprised if. Okay, let me see manually. Um, okay, I'll try to see if I upload the documents there. If where's my OneDrive? Yeah, it should be my OneDrive, I believe. Okay. Okay, for the documents, any random documents. Yeah, it's supposed to. Okay, yeah, I found the name already used. Okay, that's fine. File upload. What I use. Okay, let me just put this one then. Yeah, uploaded. Now, if my settings in Power Automate is right, I should already see the file, right, extracted from me and structured, right, just for a test because this is a test. Yeah. So the provided workflow action inputs. Yeah. So the problem now is my inflow, the configurations I have in my Power Automate. Otherwise, I should see all my data extracted from the forms and structured for me. Um, Unfortunately, I'm so rusty with Power Automate. I have to apologize for that. I kept warning us, but there was nobody tapping me to stop. Yeah. So basically, that's it. That's how Azure Document Intelligence works. You just need to upload your file, and it extracts every information from you from the file and structures it in a data format. It could be Excel, it could be your normal database, it could be any data store at all you choose, but it eliminates the whole manual entry of your form details, your data from your forms to your system. And one thing I should point out as well, this one also takes handwritten documents, the OCR and read. It takes handwritten document, and it's the only one that takes handwritten documents. It has the same function with OCR in Vision, right? The only difference is that in addition to OCR and Vision just extracts data from an image, right? It doesn't tell you the language, and it also doesn't tell you it doesn't extract the barcode. So that's the extra advantage of OCR and read in documents in Document Studio. Um, that will be all from me. I don't know if there is any question. I'm sorry I wasn't able to show you how it works end to end with Power Automate. My bad. I'm so rusty with Power Automate.
Thank you so much, Precious, for that insightful session. So I checked the chat, and we don't currently have question in the chat. But
Okay.
in the course of the discussion, two
Yeah.
use cases came to mind, right? One of
See
the
that again.
one was if you're going to an hospital for the first time. I remember when I needed to see a doctor, and
Okay.
I was given a form by the front end. That
Yeah.
form, they will still need to take the form and start inputting it in the system. With
Exactly.
Azure
Every.
Document AI Studio, they can with that model, they can
Yeah.
scan the form and get all the
Mm.
data that they needed on the databases, right?
True.
Another
True.
issue that came to mind when you're doing the Power Automate was like for people that are actually about productivity and efficiency, like
Mm.
they've set up a Power Automate, to store any documents that they receive via email. They
Yeah.
store it inside OneDrive, and from the OneDrive automatically it also help them to analyze, right?
Yes.
So those
Yeah.
are two use cases that are actually key to mind. Thank you so
Exactly.
much for the insightful section. It was
Thank you.
actually very insightful. I learned a lot from the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a privilege.
So we don't have question in the chat. I'm checking all the streams where we are streaming to. We don't have questions. So thank you everyone. So I'd just like to bring to our attention again that the global AI is starting by next week. Is actually by Saturday, starting by 9 a.m. Right? So it's going to be out throughout the next week. Is the global AI has actually started globally, right? I received an email from Microsoft Global AI community about the event. So, but for us in Lagos, Nigeria, it's going to happen by March 8th. So I'm taking this opportunity to invite everyone, because we have a lot of a line of amazing speakers, right? That is going to actually expose us to the world of AI around Azure AI Foundry, generative AI, Microsoft Copilot, GitHub Copilot. We have a lot of amazing topics. So I look forward to seeing us there. Thank you so much for joining us for today. And from here, it is goodbye. Enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.